there are some travel mistakes that we do make when we travel and like lessons learned. Any common travel skincare mistakes that we should avoid?
I'm going to name my top two.
Welcome back to Skin Goals. I'm your host, Lisa Avalos.
Hey, and I'm Kelly Sitler. And this week we're talking all about travel skincare hacks. So we know travel season's coming up, and we are here to share some practical tips and tricks for maintaining that glowing skin that we all want while we're traveling. So to help us navigate this topic is Dr. Naeha Gupta. Welcome back. She is our board certified dermatologist practicing in Philadelphia, and today our L'Oreal dermatological beauty consultant who's going to take us through. Dr. Gupta, welcome.
Thank you both for having me.
We're so excited. I do have some questions for you. So that way our audience gets to know you a bit. Tell us about yourself.
Absolutely. So as Kelly mentioned, I practice in Philadelphia. I've been practicing for just under 5 years now. I absolutely love being a dermatologist. I actually got into it being the oldest of three, watching my younger sister have really bad eczema growing up. And back then, people just didn't know enough about eczema. They didn't understand how it impacted quality of life. And so as I watched her suffer through this, seeing how it impacted everything from playing with other kids, school, what food she could eat, I became really motivated to help other people also afflicted by their skin conditions.
That's so sweet.
Seriously, there's always such amazing inspirational stories, and it's always something very personal, like your sister's experience and her, figuring that out. Like I always love hearing that part of it. I feel like that's what always beauty, like being in the beauty industry, is so important to me because of my experiences growing up, and just always loving to give makeovers. So I so relate to that, but usually makeovers to my my aunties and my cousins and stuff at family parties. There's always some like weird family connection.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us about your hobbies. You love
Yeah.
travel. So
Yeah.
where have you been? Tell us about your travels.
I first got really interested in travel actually when I was 12, and my parents let me go on this 6-week trip to Australia and New Zealand with this group called People to People at the time. And my eyes were just open to what the world it can consist of and the beauty that is out there. And so I obviously took a pause on travel during my training, but travel is a huge hobby of mine, Lisa, like you mentioned. I love to see different places, explore different cuisines. I'm always reading about places, even though I know I might not be able to get there. And so it's a huge passion of mine.
Yeah.
I love it. I love to travel too. I went to South Africa with my best friend, and Kelly just took her whole family. They go to Portugal a lot. So tell us
Yeah.
about the beaches, Kel.
Oh, they were amazing. The cliffs are insane. But like, yeah, we had such a great time. My husband is Portuguese, so like we tend to go to Portugal like most often out of all the places. But I feel like I'm getting the travel bug, like the worldwide travel bug with my kids. Like my kids are like, it was so interesting, Dr. Cooper, hearing, like you said at 12 years old, you went to New Zealand. And so my daughter is 12 years old right now. And I'm like, wow, like, I don't know how comfortable I would like having her go on her own, but like I think maybe I am getting there a little bit. Like, but I'm definitely wanting to travel with my family right now around the world. So you went by yourself on that trip, like with a group, obviously, you said.
It was a different time back then. The world is a different place. And I don't know if nowadays a 12-year-old would be able to go across the country by themselves or on a group trip. But I am grateful for the experience. And it's so funny because you two just mentioned two of my absolute favorite trips. No joke. South Africa and Portugal. Like, they are such phenomenal places. So it's just such a gift to be able to see countries like that.
It is. It really is. I know. I'm very jealous of your South Africa trip, Lisa. I want to go so bad. That's amazing. So in the light of travel, like let's get like some pre-flight questions going. Okay. So when we're traveling, like how does travel, like airplane, like when we're on the airplane, how does that actually impact our skin?
Yeah. So as much as I love being on airplanes, they are not that great for the skin. Airplane cabins do deplete moisture, so they make the skin dehydrated, dull. We also get increased puffiness on the airplane. And then there's also increased UV exposure.
Yeah, that makes so much sense because those clouds are reflective. So getting that extra UV. Is there any pre-flight or in-flight or post-flight? I'm very dry. Any skincare tips that combat that dryness? Because I can feel my skin get tight in that airplane.
Yeah. I think before I get on a plane, I always like to use I'll use like the La Roche-Posay foaming cleanser, and then I'll pair it with either a moisturizer, or I'll use SPF like tinted sunscreen just to make sure I'm protected and arriving with clean skin. In flight, I will say it depends on the duration, because if we're talking about a flight maybe under 8 hours, I might not do like a full skincare routine because we're not on it for as long. But if we're getting into a long haul over 8 hours, then it's a little bit different. And so for any flight under 8 hours, basically just the bare minimum, but I will use the Cicaplast moisturizer a lot to help keep that hydration on the skin. And then I also love using the CeraVe Healing Ointment, I mean, everywhere, lips, cuticles, whatever feels super dry. On a long haul flight, I will bring like a little kit with me because, I do want to do my skincare, maybe a condensed version of it. But I still at that point will use the Cicaplast balm, a foaming cleanser. And then if I feel really motivated, I'll add the skin renewing eye cream as well.
It sounds like those are some like really great recommendations as far as products to pack along. Like, and it sounds like a lot of them, the ones that you were listing, they're like multi-purpose potentially as well, because we know that like packing in the carry-on, like you only have a limit, and well, the carry-on's a little bit better. It's really the checked bag that you have really the full limit. But actually, international carry-ons, you have a limit as well. So. Yeah, like is there any like additional multi-purpose like like needs or anything else that you could really recommend for us to be packing along?
Yes, like you mentioned, Kelly, there are limits to everything, and then there's limits on liquids. So I am big on versatile products when I travel. I have to say the one other one that I will not live without is the CeraVe Healing Ointment. I cannot tell you, I live and breathe that stuff. It is with me for the lips, the eyes, the cuticles, any dry patches. And so that is actually a really great multi-purpose ointment as well.
I love it too. That CeraVe ointment, I put it on everywhere. But I'll do the Cicaplast first just to really moisturize and then seal it in with that ointment.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just, as you were saying that, I was looking to my left because I usually have a big tub of the Cicaplast like right here, or not the Cicaplast, the CeraVe Healing Ointment, like literally right here. And I actually have it in my bathroom right now. I remember moving it over there because I was using it on probably it was like my heels. I was slugging, whatever I was doing that day. So yeah.
So now climates can change drastically if we're traveling to different parts of the country or the world. How should we adjust our skincare routines for those different environments?
That's a great question. I think it's really important to look at the climate that you're traveling to, because what you may use at home may not work at your new destination. So let's start with humid environments first. Humid environments have a lot of extra moisture in the air. And so, the skin may feel a little bit heavy. You might have increased sweating. And so for those environments, I really like to rely on foaming cleansers to really remove that dirt, debris, sunscreen, and then a gel-based moisturizer so that you can still get hydration but not feel heavy.
That's like one of the hardest things, I think. Like when I'm traveling somewhere, I have to be thinking about what the weather is there and then kind of like acclimate like what I'm packing. Like, like you mentioned, like a foaming cleanser instead of maybe something that might have a little more hydrating property to it, something that's going to help, really clean my skin if I'm like in a humid environment where I'm putting on sunscreen, or something like that. So I love thinking like that, but it is challenging because then you have to be like, what is the weather going to be there? Is it going to be colder? Is it going to be warmer? Like, what is the humidity like? So there's so many factors to consider, but it's all part of packing. It's all part of the traveling process. So
It's all part of the fun. And you want to look at like other environments too. And so if you're going somewhere dry, then what works in a humid environment is not going to work there, right? And so
Yeah.
if we're super dry, then we want to add in like those hydrating cleansers you mentioned, Kelly, and that Cicaplast balm for that hydration and the CeraVe healing ointment, because you are going to feel just so dry and tight in those climates.
Yeah, I've definitely done that myself where I went to a different type of climate and I didn't have the thing that I needed. And then I'm like, oh, like how can I get it in between meetings or whatever it is? So it's like preparing. And speaking of, for different climates, like for sunny climates, what tips, when we're going to be traveling, like, first of all, you mentioned like in the sky, we're like closer to the sun, right? But also when we get there, we could be somewhere closer to the equator. The sun might be, stronger or whatever it is. So what do, sunscreen tips?
So the biggest thing, I think everyone's so good about putting on their sunscreen in the morning, but it's that reapplication during the day, especially when you're somewhere new and you're traveling and it's exciting. So I really rely on the CeraVe mineral sunscreen stick, the SPF 50, because it's beautifully travel, it's compact, and it's great for reapplication. But really, when you're in those sunnier environments, you want to really think about making sure you're wearing at least SPF 30 or higher, reapplying it. And then I also, in these environments, depending on where you're at, also will recommend adding in a vitamin C serum in the morning, because that is a great antioxidant that can help if you're prone to hyperpigmentation. It also is great. It's a free radical oxidizer, and so it'll really help with if you're somewhere that has a lot of pollution, and really just give that added protection to the skin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
I love
love that.
those products. I'm like, do I have them in my travel bag right now? Because I have that consistent travel bag that I'm just popping things into all the time. So
And just to go over the in-flight routine, cleansing, moisturizing, um, anything else that you recommend for these long haul flights?
I mean, we can't forget about our hair, right? We got our skin, but what about our hair?
Hmm.
So I think in flight, I personally, for any longer haul, meaning like over 8 hour flight, I will get my hair actually blown out and make it like a little bit tighter in curls. And I will do a light loose ponytail with a silk hair tie. And then I have a silk bonnet. You got to be okay wearing it. Okay. But I will wear that because when you land, your hair is protected, it's less frizzy, and you have awesome hair ready to go.
yeah, I'm watching so many different creators who show me what they do in the airplane. Like I'm kind of obsessed with the ones that put the hair roll in the top, like to keep the volume up, like while you're taking a nap. Like, and I really want to try that next time. Like especially if we're flying and then you're going right into a meeting or something like that. That's definitely happened. So I love a hair bonnet though too. Like I mean, it's everything to keep these, luscious locks working for us, So absolutely. All right, along these lines, like keeping going, because like obviously there are some travel mistakes that we do make when we travel and like lessons learned, like we've already said. I know I've learned some. Any common travel skincare mistakes that we should avoid?
I'm going to name my top two. I think one is if your trip is really, I would say over 3 or 4 days, not bringing your skincare, right? Because at that point, you want to try to be consistent in maintaining your skincare routine. And then number two, I see this all the time. If you're treated for chronic skin conditions or have prescriptions, bring them with you. There is nothing worse than having a flare up when you're in a foreign country and you don't know where to turn. And so I think, and I see it happen so much. And because I love to travel, it breaks my heart when a patient's trip was ruined because they didn't have their prescription with them, because it's such an easy fix to just have it with you.
As a mom, I'm just thinking about like, the bag that I have like that with those extra items to make sure I can take care of things. So it's like really considering that as well. Like, if my daughter, has a stomach issue, we're bringing a medication, but if is there a skin situation going on, bringing that as well, like having it as, that backup in case it flares up or whatever it is. So.
I have a question about hands. My hands get so dry in the air. Any tips on how to keep moisturized?
Absolutely. So we talked about how much we love the CeraVe healing ointment. So that's a great option. And then I also love the CeraVe therapeutic hand cream. That's a really great one too. It absorbs well. And As long as you're okay with kind of reapplying regardless, because the hands will need it, you are good to go with either of those.
Yeah, I like to keep that in my backpack, just easy grab.
Yes. I'm just like kind of envisioning what my travel bag assortment is going to look like after this podcast. Like, I'm like, okay, like I got to rethink some of the things that I'm packing and pack some other things. Like, I'm definitely thinking the hands, like that's something I've definitely experienced is like, you know, they have definitely gotten super dry because like I'm so focused on like I'm in a meeting and my face is going to be, I'm going to be live or whatever it is. And then I really need to have like my hands are definitely suffering. I feel like my hands probably, my feet as well. Like if I'm going somewhere that I'm now going to be wearing, sandals or flip flops, like I got to moisturize that too. So yeah.
Yeah, this has been so informative today, Dr. Gupta. Thank you so much for all your travel skincare wisdom.
It was a pleasure. Thank you both for having me.
Yeah. Thank you.
Don't forget to tune in to our next episode of Skin Goals. Subscribe and share with your fellow beauty enthusiasts, and we'll be back with more skincare insights. Thanks, everyone.